Welcome to Three Kitchens, a home cooking podcast. I am your host, Sarah Somasundaram, here with my co-hosts. In one corner, MacGyver of cooking, the salter of lemons, Heather Dyer.
Hello, I like that intro.
And in the other corner, our own very food nerd, science gal, the emulsifier of eggs and oil, Erin Walker.
Hello.
Wow, you just raised the bar. You just
Did
raised the
I?
Bar on the intro. Yes.
Yes, I'm a little loopy today. If you guys have roles in this podcast, so who am I, the village idiot for using tweezers while I cook? Is that it?
No.
And in the third corner is Sarah Somasundaram, the late night warrior armed with food tweezers and a wide array of 4-letter words in many languages.
There you go. So it's been an interesting week. We launched.
Yay! Yeah, really exciting.
How do you guys feel? It's been a whirlwind of emotion for me, at least.
Yes. It's been a whole different part of this that I hadn't really put thought to before all of a sudden we jumped into this part of it. It was like, oh my God, we're doing this.
Yeah, we're finally doing this.
Yeah, and people are going to listen now.
Yeah, and people are going to listen to us. Yeah,
and they have.
We've had some good exposure. It's been
and feedback. People have been so good. Like our friends and family have been writing to us, and we wanted to thank everyone for listening and supporting.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
And there are a couple key people, we don't need to name names, they know who they are, who helped before we launched with music and artwork and feedback on sound and advice on audio and all kinds of help from various people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely taken a village.
Yes.
And pieces from everybody to help us put all this together. It's been incredible.
It's been incredible. Mm-hmm. And it's been fun doing it.
Really fun.
I think that is the absolute bonus here, is that, I mean, that's why I'm loopy today, because we launched, we haven't been recording much. And so now we're back to recording again. And I'm so excited to be here.
Yes. And by the time this is heard by anybody, it will be weeks down the road, because we did so much recording that we have episodes in the can for quite some time. So by the time this comes out, people will be like, what do you mean you just launched?
Because we're ahead of the game.
That's right.
I know that my parents asked what success means. And I was like, we actually followed through and made this.
And got to have fun. Wasn't that one of the goals was to have fun doing this?
Yeah.
I think it's just about the only one, really.
Yeah. I think that
because then if you're having fun, that translates and people want to listen to that, right?
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah. And sharing recipes. You know what I find funny is that, at the playground when it's time to go home and our kids always go, hey, can we get on Messenger with our friends and stuff like that? And we're always like, no, you just saw your friends. You just played with them. What do you need to go home and talk to them further? Like, what else do you have to say? And then what do we do?
Oh, we go home and text each other right away.
But we don't tell them that. We don't tell them.
No, we don't tell them that. They don't know anything about it.
Yeah, I think the kids are catching on to it.
Deny. No, we're not talking to each other. All right, Sarah, what are we talking about today? I don't actually even know.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't know. So this is a hell of an easy recipe. Really easy.
Oh,
okay.
Easy peasy, eggy squeezy. Let's say that.
What?
So all you need is an egg.
Eggs?
Okay, so all you need is an egg, salt, and thyme. And you get a cured egg yolk. And so this whole idea came to me after Heather's macaron episode, and those were so good, Heather. So good.
Thank you.
And you had made a meringue with egg whites and then had asked the question, what do I do with all these egg yolks? So you have to love the egg, right? Like, it is one of the most versatile ingredient in your kitchen, in my opinion. And it's the easiest thing to experiment with for a home cook, especially. So I got this method from a website called practicalselfreliance.com. And there are many websites that talk about the salted egg yolk. And you take kosher salt, and it has to be kosher salt, and you pour it into a glass container to about half an inch thickness. You take an uncracked egg and you make indentations into the salt. Careful not to go all the way to the bottom of the glass container to break the seal, right? Because you don't want to break the seal.
So you're just making kind of a little dip, egg-shaped dip in the salt. Okay.
Exactly. And then you separate your egg yolk from your egg. Gently place the egg yolk into those indentations that you have made. And then you cover your egg yolk with a mound of salt. So the whole point of this is that the entire egg yolk has to be encased in salt, and enough salt for it to draw out moisture. Don't be stingy with this one. Use a lot of salt, as much salt as you can. Cover it. Don't cover it. It's up to you. But stick it in your fridge for 5 to 7 days and forget about it. That's almost it. And if you want to try this and you don't want to try, like I did it with 6 egg yolks because I wanted to share it with you guys. If you don't want to do it with so many egg yolks, just get a little ramekin or a little teacup and do it with 1 egg yolk and just give it a try and see if you'd like it.
It's so weird that you bring this up, Sarah, because this just showed up on my feed the other day.
So now our phones are not only listening to us, they're reading our minds.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I just watched a whole thing where somebody did this exact same thing. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. What the hell?
It came up on Pinterest randomly for me after I had done the macarons. And I think it's because I had been talking about what do you do with the egg yolks. Eggs. Of course, mine were broken, so I couldn't do this with it. But next time, if there's a next time with the macarons, I would save those yolks whole and give it a try. Yeah.
And you know what was funny was now I was left with all these egg whites after the
you had the opposite problem.
I don't want to make macarons. I'm not ready. Actually, you know what? I put it into a fried rice for my kids, and man, did they complain. It's like, what is wrong with this egg? There's no taste to it. And there is no taste to it. Like, I don't like egg whites either, but remember when that was a big rage, eating just the egg whites? Oh
yeah.
Yeah.
You could get cartons of egg whites.
Oh, that's awful.
Still grosses me out.
You still can, I'm pretty sure.
I'm sure you can. Diehards.
You took the good part out of the egg.
Yeah. So science moment for you two, but especially Erin, because I just saw her perk up. So what is the kosher salt actually doing? It's slowing down or virtually stopping certain bacteria from growing, which then makes it a really conducive environment for this particular bacteria to grow and release lactic acid. And I think that bacteria is called lactobacillus something. Lactobacillus.
That's very, very scientific.
Yes.
Oh,
I was hoping.
And I can definitely pronounce that.
Okay.
I can pronounce it just as well as all the French words I pronounce.
Oh. Okay, so that doesn't help.
I used to be raked over the coals every time I said a word in science because I always said it wrong.
Well, who is meant? I mean, these words are not even originally English words, are they?
I'm pretty sure it's all Latin.
Yeah.
Don't worry. I embrace it just like I embrace my French.
There's a reason the language died. It's because nobody could pronounce these words.
Exactly. Thank you, Sarah.
There you go. So after about 5 or 7 days in your fridge, if you take a look at your egg yolk, it is quite amazing. It looks like a gummy candy, right? And what you want to do at this point is you want to remove as much salt as you can. Usually in this podcast, we talk about what we're going to do, and then we go into intermission and we come back with our results. But in this case, because it was going to take such a long time, I already tried this out. And then I'm going to have another takeaway that I'm going to come back to later. My husband, we know, does the majority of the grocery shopping at the regular stores for here, right? at least one of us is frugal. It's a good thing he's frugal because at least one of us has to be. So he tends to sometimes buy these eggs in bulk that are not the best quality eggs. And I have learned to stop complaining about it because he goes out and he does all the groceries. Like, how can I complain, right? With this particular recipe, I would suggest getting a really good egg. If you know of an egg brand that has a really yellow yolk that can keep its structure and, it's a really beautiful yolk when you crack it, get those eggs for these preserved salted eggs. And the reason is because when I then, after 7 days, took the egg yolks out of the salt and tried to get rid of as much salt as I could, there was quite a bit of salt crusted on. And I think that it might have been just because it just was a low quality egg. So I got as much salt off of it, which meant that I had to wash it quite a bit.
I was going to say, are you washing it or just dusting it off?
So you dust it off, and some say that you take a damp towel, a clean damp towel, and you sort of, brush off as much salt as you want. But I had to actually kind of soak it in a bowl of water to get all that crusties off.
Oh.
Which was unfortunate, but don't worry, it all worked out.
It didn't wreck the yolk, putting it in water?
It didn't wreck it. I didn't have to do it for too long. At this point, you want to do one of two things. So wrapping the egg yolks in a cheesecloth in individual pockets separated by butcher's twine, and you air dry them in the fridge for another 7 to 10 days. But if you don't want to wait that long, don't worry about it. All you have to do is turn on your oven, get a well-oiled rack that is like sort of small enough that the egg yolks can sit on. And you want to turn your oven on to about 150 degrees Fahrenheit. And you want to dry out these egg yolks for about 1 to 3 hours until you get a real hard, dry texture. There you have it. You've got a salted egg yolk. Now what to do with it?
Yeah.
You grate and put that shit on everything. Just like the preserved lemon. On everything. It has gone on everything. I am actually a little bit scared that I won't have enough for you guys because I'm like, why don't we put some egg yolk on this and some egg yolk on that? And it is so good. It is one of those, and it's salty, right? So
what does it taste like?
That's what I'm trying to.
I'm gonna have to pass it to you.
Does it
over
taste
the
like
intermission?
An egg?
It does, but an egg yolk. And completely different. Like, it's so good. It's so rich. It's so good. Just on salads, on toast, on pasta sauce,
on vegetables.
What happens if it hits heat? Like, if you were to put it over your pasta sauce, what happens when it hits the heat? Does it kind of melt?
It shouldn't disintegrate. You're doing it as a finishing salt, right? So you're not cooking with it. You're doing it as a finishing salt. So think of, you put your spaghetti on your plate with the sauce on top, and then you finish it with Parmesan. You're going to finish it with the egg yolk instead. And it's so good. I have something that's even easier for you guys to try at home, but I'll try to get this dish to you guys as well after I cook it. So same thing, egg yolks. What we're going to do is something different. We are going to also preserve the egg yolks in a salt bath, the salt encasement, but we're going to do it just for 1 day. This is called the soft cured egg yolk. So I have to digress into this memory of Craig and I going for the first time to Singapore. It was Craig's first time in Singapore. And we get introduced to this restaurant called Fortune's Seafood. And every time we go to Singapore, we have to go there at least 3 times because it has such amazing food. And it's always great experiences because when we go there, we go with a large amount of people. Like, we invite everyone we know in Singapore. So the owner loves us because he's always bringing in customers. And this place is always packed anyway. He's really good because he's really friendly and the food is amazing. But what we can do is we get to sit outside. You can sit inside the restaurant or you can sit outside. And we, in our younger days, used to buy our own booze and bring it to the restaurant and sit outside. And then the restaurant would close down and he would come out and say, just leave all the dirty dishes. We'll get to it tomorrow morning. And he would leave and we would just sit there for hours and hours into the night and, eat and drink and be merry.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that great? Hot weather and traveling. What is that?
What an amazing memory.
Yeah. And so one of the dishes that he made was something called the salted egg yolk crab. And I'm not making crabs, so don't worry, but salted egg yolk
I was
crab.
Excited for a second there. I thought you were going to make me some crab.
And we came back to Canada, and every time we come back to Canada, we try to find those dishes in Calgary because we miss them so much, and we have, and they're good, but they're not as good as Fortune Seafood. So when we went back to Singapore, we asked him, what makes yours so different from the ones that we had? And he said, because I only use the egg yolk. So what am I talking about? I'm not going to cook crabs. I'm going to cook shrimp. But for people who don't like seafood, you can use chicken, no problem. Just slice it really thin. Or if you're vegetarian, firm tofu or mushrooms. It's going to work amazing. And then we're going to cure the egg yolk. We're going to encase them in salt, 5 egg yolks for this recipe.
I know you keep saying we. Is that just because you're going to share it when you're done, or are you giving us an assignment?
I am going to share it. I'm really excited to share this with you guys because I don't think it's as popular as it should be here.
I have never heard of anything like this before, ever. So you have my interest right away.
My East Asian and Southeast Asian friends seem to know about this, but I think it's one of those things where it's not on the menu. You kind of have to ask for it at a restaurant. So I think that's why people get thrown off or it's not as popular or well known here, I guess.
And that would be at what type of restaurant?
Chinese.
Oh,
Chinese restaurant. Yeah. No, good question. I should have said that.
I want to know where to ask for it.
Yeah.
Well, let's
After
go.
I love it.
So again, you're going to encase them in salt.
Okay.
But you're only going to do this in the fridge for 24 hours. And then you want to know what to do with it?
Yeah, of course.
You got to wait till we come back. I'm telling you, this is going to be a restaurant quality dish, but it's going to be extremely easy to do. Just a 1-day prep.
I don't know if I have the patience for this. Oh my God, Sarah, how could you stop there? Okay.
I have to stop here.
When is this happening? Tomorrow you're feeding us?
As soon as I get it done. Do you guys ever get grossed out with shrimp with their heads on?
It's not my favorite, for sure.
It's not your favorite. Okay. Well, lucky for you, I have shrimps with their heads off.
Thank you.
So there you go. I was going to go look for shrimp with their heads on just to sort of make this into a pretty dish, but I guess you both are giving me this look please don't.
I think Heather's face was like, no, you don't have to do that.
I'm okay with it, but I don't think it's pretty. I don't think those little eyeballs and those tentacle things are pretty. That's kind of...
But they're crunchy and delicious.
Oh, you don't eat that part?
Oh, yes, we do.
I don't.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
We love
I don't want to eat the head or the tail. You got to take those bits out.
Fair enough. You know what? I'm not a fan of cooking seafood in Calgary myself, just because we don't have a lot of fresh seafood here. But you'll like this one. There'll be no heads. Don't worry. There'll be a tail though, because you have to pick it up and eat it. So don't think of it as a tail. Think of it as a handle, a shrimp handle.
I can handle a tail.
Yeah, tails are fine.
It's all good. Okay, so after this little break, we're going to hear how Sarah's dish turned out, and Erin and I will weigh in.
We're on the edge of our seats.
Yeah, we were totally, I don't even know what to say because I'm so excited about it.
Everyone else has to wait 15 seconds. We have to wait a whole day. Please appreciate that.
Fair enough.
All right.
Store your preserved eggs in an airtight container in the refrigerator for up to 3 weeks. Though I gotta warn you, you'd probably use them up way before then.
Hello and welcome back to Three Kitchens. Sarah, you've got these eggs that you're curing up. Tell us what you've done.
First, I mean, we're talking about two kinds of cured eggs, but I spoke into detail about the first one that sort of took about 2 weeks to get done.
Yes.
And I dropped that off with you guys. So let's talk about that one first. What did you think? The texture was pretty hard. It was gradable, I hope.
It definitely grates quite easily.
Mm-hmm.
It disappears faster than you want it to.
That's right.
Is that a fair comment?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. It was cool. Like,
yeah,
I don't know how to describe it really. I wasn't sure what I was expecting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not hard, but it's not soft. It's like, I don't really know how to describe it. It's such a unique kind of texture.
It's like a really soft Parmesan cheese.
That's right.
Yeah.
It is.
It really grated like almost like a cheese, like a hard cheese, but not super hard.
That's right.
Like you said, Heather, it's that weird.
It's this weird in between. And you run it over the grater a couple times and I'm like, half my yolk is gone.
Yeah.
I've almost eaten the whole, like I will have eaten the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure what to do with it either, exactly.
So what did you put it on?
I grated it onto roasted vegetables.
Okay.
I grated it on some rice.
Oh, that would, yeah.
You mentioned doing that for the kids. And I was like, oh, yum. Yeah. I like that idea to, salt up your rice.
Yeah.
I didn't really notice it on the vegetables, honestly.
Oh, you didn't?
I don't think and it was like half the yolk on my tray, on my pan of veggies. So I don't know if I just should have used the whole thing or if I just...
So, I mean, what I think that is very interesting about this texture is that it's salty, right? So it's got that Parmesan cheese, salty kind of feel to it, but it's almost creamy.
Yes.
Like it's a creamy salt. Like it's very odd. And one of the reasons why I had never made this before was because I didn't want to waste all that salt. When I saw these recipes on videos, I'm like, well, what do you do with all that salt after?
Yes.
And you know what? Salt is not that expensive, but I did look up some comments on these recipe sites about, maybe any suggestions on what to do with the salt after.
Oh, yes.
And you should have heard some of these suggestions. One person said, take a salt bath. And throw that salt in, and I'm like, no. Why? Why would you want to do that? Someone else said, sort of use that to exfoliate your skin or face, or not. I'm like, again, no. I just am not. But you know what? If you want to do that, then go for it.
I have a gardening solution.
Okay, here we go. Yeah.
Were you thinking gardening, Heather?
I was thinking about those slugs that I have thrown salt on.
Yeah. Well, I've heard that if you take salt and you make like a little fence around the vegetable that's getting eaten by the slugs, that the slugs can't cross the barrier.
That's right. Without dissolving into a mess. There you go.
Yeah. So maybe, I mean, but you have pots in your garden and you probably don't see a ton of slugs, I would imagine.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, if I saw slugs, I would never garden again.
Yeah.
So clearly I have not.
Oh, they're disgusting little critters, but I get them. You probably do too, Erin. I get them in my little garden bed and they're disgusting little. That's a great idea. What else did you find out, gardening. Sarah?
However, someone suggested, and the author of this site actually did comment and reply to this, saying that if you bake the salt at 180 degrees Fahrenheit for about 2 to 3 hours, it should kill all the bacteria and mold in it. And then you could reuse the salt for a brine or for curing the eggs again. However, I cannot verify that because I'm not a food science expert, so I cannot recommend this with good conscience, right? So, but it's what I heard. Here's my solution for if you don't want to use all that salt, and you want to try this egg out, just use one yolk. and put it into a little ramekin or a little teacup.
Yeah.
And use less salt, but make sure that the entire yolk is covered, and then throw it in your fridge for a week, and then air dry it for another week or bake it and see if you like it. And if you do, then it might be something that you want to do again in a bigger batch.
Was your salt moist from this process? Like, was it
around it? Yes. I wouldn't say it was moist, it was clumpy.
Okay. Yeah. That was the word I was going to use to ask.
Yeah.
Did it get clumpy?
Yeah.
Remember she said she had to like clean the yolk off and like clean the salt off because it kind of stuck to it.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So I would have pictured it being kind of clumpy.
Sarah, you left us on the cliff with this. And as much as I've liked talking about these long cure eggs, you need to tell us what you made us with your 24-hour cured yolk that showed up on my doorstep. And I ate way too fast. You got me eating shrimp. And I am not a big shellfish eater, but oh man.
Yes.
Oh, that's the endorsement. That's what you want to hear, because if you can sell the person who doesn't like shrimp on a dish of shrimp.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ding, ding.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get right into that recipe then.
All right. Please.
Okay. We're going to use 4 egg yolks. Okay. We're going to do exactly what I spoke of before, putting a bunch of salt down in a glass container. We're going to make little indents in the salt, and then we're going to get the yolks separated and put them into the indents, and we're going to cover it with salt. The difference with this one is you're going to put it into the refrigerator for 24 hours. And that's it.
Okay.
I got this recipe, but I did modify it from barenakedfood.com. And the recipe is called golden salted egg prawns. Now, in this recipe, I'm not quite clear what she was really referring to, but I think you can buy salted eggs, the full eggs in an Asian supermarket. And I think that's what she had done.
Okay.
She wasn't very clear about this. Just follow my recipe on this one.
All right. Yes, because that's what I ate, and that's what I want to know.
You got to know. Now, if you come from Calgary, most of our shrimp comes in a bag, a frozen bag of shrimp, about 800 grams. I say better if it's large. Tiger prawns, peeled and deveined if you don't like doing it yourself. And if a bag says it's deveined, I still go through all those shrimp to just see if it's deveined or not, right? Because you just want to get rid of all that grossness.
Erin's face is... I'm not sure she's ever deveined a shrimp before based on the look on her face.
Oh, I have definitely never deveined a shrimp. No,
it's really easy.
I only eat shrimp when it's cooked for me, Heather.
You can buy shrimp that is deveined. However, I still go through it, and I found 2 that were not. Yeah, it happens.
What does that even look like?
That happens a lot. And Erin, you're just looking for a little black stripe
on the inner side.
Through.
Okay.
If it's deveined, it's out of there.
Okay. So
but if you see it, then you want to kind of.
What is the drawback of having the vein in?
It's not a vein so much as it's the vein of a prawn, a crustacean, where everything goes through the body.
It's digestive tract then. It's not a vein.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's grossness.
It's poop. That's the simple answer. It's poop, ladies.
Poopiness.
Listen, she didn't want you talking about poop during her fantastic recipe.
I didn't want to say poop before I said, hey,
she was trying not
restaurant quality recipe.
But now it's all out in the open.
It's okay.
Yes, it is. It's all right.
It's fine.
Okay.
It's life. It's real, right?
I mean, I'm sorry. I live with two small boys and a grown boy. So, I mean, you just got to speak boy to me. It's poop.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, but don't worry about it. If you happen to see one, you just kind of take the tip of your knife and out it goes. And
no big deal.
So you want about 800 grams of prawns. She says medium size. I say go for as large as you can get. I find them, it's perfect for this recipe. 1 egg, yolk and white separated.
Okay.
Now it says 1 teaspoon Chinese wine, which is something I have in my pantry. It's called Shaoxing wine. But if you don't have that, don't invest in it. If it's not something you cook with on a regular basis, just use like a white cooking wine for this. So you got 1 teaspoon of that, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, couple of pinches of white pepper, 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. If you don't happen to have cornstarch in your pantry, you can use potato starch. It works just fine. Now, this ingredient, I recommend that you go to the store, and if you ever find curry leaves, buy them, take them off the stalks, and freeze them in a Ziploc bag. I buy them maybe 3 or 4 times a year, and that's it. And I cook a lot of East Indian food, right? Like, I think it's a great ingredient to have in your freezer because it can be used in so many different recipes. It's a very citrusy leaf. And it's very flavorful. If you really don't want to buy these things, then don't worry. It's not a big deal, but it does add that extra flavor profile into this dish. 1 clove of minced garlic. I like to put 2. Every time someone says 1, I'm like, what are you talking about? There must be 2. 1 red chili. You know, the bigger you go, the less spicy. If you don't like it spicy, just de-seed it and slice it up. 30 grams of unsalted butter, 2 teaspoons of sugar, and 1 teaspoon of chicken powder. If you don't know what chicken powder is, it's bouillon. Or just use chicken stock. And oil. And of course, you want those 4 eggs.
Right. The egg yolks.
Okay, we're going to start with what to do with those egg yolks. You're going to take them out of the salt after 24 hours. You're going to brush away as much salt as you can. And then you're going to steam them for about 15 minutes on a medium heat. Don't worry about the texture. Just follow my instructions. 15 minutes will be good. And mash them up into a paste. Then you season the shrimp with salt, pepper. You pour in the egg white, mix it up first, and then you add in the cornstarch or the potato starch. You give it a final mix.
The shrimp, the egg white, the cornstarch is all together? Is this what you mean?
Yeah, everything's together. Mix it up. I like to use a wok. If you don't have a wok and you have a pan, that's fine. Heat up your pan as hot as it can go. Throw on some oil. Put the prawns in and fry it on each side really quickly.
Okay. When you say really quickly, because I've never cooked a prawn before, I know it starts out grayish and then it ends pinky.
That's right.
Tell me more about it.
You'll start seeing them turn red in about 5 seconds.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I would say anywhere from 15 to 20 seconds on each side. Really quick.
Okay. Super quick.
I cannot stand overcooked shrimp. Right? You've tasted them. They're very rubbery. And you're also going to cook these again. So keep that in mind, right? You take them out of the oil and you set them aside. And I like to use the same wok because I don't want to clean so many dishes. So what I do is I take some of the oil out, or I take all the oil out. I give it a good wipe. I put some oil back in. Okay, now we don't want to go too hot here. You want to melt some butter into that oil. And you want to add in the mashed salted egg yolks. And you're going to cook this over a low heat, and you're going to continually stir it until it melts and it's foamy. It's really weird what happens there. Then you want to add in the curry leaves, garlic, the chili, and you want to fry it for about, I would say 15, 30 seconds. Don't burn your garlic. That's another thing I hate too.
Burn garlic. Yes.
Yeah. Then you want to add your sugar and your chicken bouillon or your chicken stock. I would go try to get the bouillon stuff if you can, because this is quite dry. You want this to be a very dry dish. And then you sort of slowly add that 1 egg yolk that you still have, that you had separated from the egg white. Continuously stir it so that it all incorporates. Toss in the shrimp and make sure the sauce coats the shrimp. And you're done. I think it's a really, really delicious meal. The time for the entire thing takes about 30 minutes.
Oh, that's fast.
It's easy, right? It's fast. Have some rice ready to go. I like to throw spring onions on top. We know my obsession with spring onions.
But of course.
So outside of curing those egg yolks for 24 hours, this is a quick meal. This is the kind of stuff that you go to restaurants for, but you're doing it in your house. You're serving it to your guests or your family, and they're going to go, whoa, Mom, you're amazing. I hope.
Yeah.
Well, we certainly felt that way when we ate it. Aaron and I were both like, what did we just eat? This was so good.
It went too fast.
So good.
And, being kind of a shrimp wimp, I picked up that shrimp by the tail and was like, oh God.
Oh no.
And
such a good sport.
She is.
And I had it and I know I didn't eat enough of it and was like, oh, I judge myself because I've seen people eat shrimp and they're like sucking every last bit out of the tail and stuff. And I by the end I was doing that because I took my first bite and like ate it with the rice and was like, oh my God, this is so good. I need to finish all the shrimp that's in there. And
yummy.
So good, Sarah.
Yeah.
It makes me want to cook this because my son was just mentioning how he loves your cooking because you cook with a variety of foods and flavors that we don't often do at home.
Right.
And I mean, he's had a lot of Korean barbecue at your house and the gyoza we made a few years back. And, we have all these things that he's like, oh my God, these are so good. Yeah. And so I feel like he would eat this.
Yeah.
Love it. So I might buy a bag of shrimp, but before I do it, I'm going to be taking a picture of it being like, is this the right one? Is this the right one? Because every time I walk past that cooler and look at it, I'm like, oh no, it's too soon. And I just keep going.
Right. You know what? I don't like cooking seafood in Calgary myself, because it's not very fresh here and it's difficult to get the fresh stuff. But this dish would be amazing with thinly cut chicken, as I said before. Mushrooms. I think it would be amazing with mushrooms.
Oh, yeah.
Someone mentioned that they do this with zucchini.
Oh, yum. I think that'd be good.
If you enjoy that, then go for it. Tofu, firm tofu. That would be another one. I don't see why you couldn't change the protein in this one. As long as it's thinly cut and it's cooked fast. That's the important part.
I think those are all really interesting and good ideas.
So you don't have to buy that bag of shrimp.
But you can.
But you can.
I want to push myself now because it's like a new, I mean, it sounds kind of lame, but I am this landlocked human and that's where I've grown up. So I haven't ever really had good fresh stuff.
You can also get a small bag of shrimp. Like you don't have to buy, it's not like a giant jumbo bag that's going to take you 2 years to get through. Like you can buy a small bag and make it a couple of times. Like you don't have to make a ton of it.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not a big commitment.
Right.
Thank you.
There were no leftovers on this one.
Oh, I'll bet.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I was disappointed that I only had 2 shrimp.
I'm sorry. I had to feed my family.
No. But I was like, I could have eaten like a plate, like easily a dozen shrimp on a plate of rice. Like it was so good.
Yeah.
It's easy to finish up and it's easy to eat. And it's simple. Like you just add it to rice.
And it's quick to cook. It's something that like you could make really fast in the summer. So you're not like heating up your stove in your house for a really long time. And I could make this like on my barbecue.
Yeah. Just put your cast iron pan on there.
Usually when you watch a video, you have all of the ingredients sort of in separate sort of little bowls and such. I would never do that. I would just almost add it as it should go. So if you knew that the chicken stock powder and the salt went in at the end, put them together in one bowl.
Yeah.
Put them in stages and then just dump them in. Quick stir fries are like, you really need to be quick because you don't want to overcook shrimp. You don't want to burn that egg. You don't want to burn the garlic.
And you want to keep the pan moving, right?
That's right. Yeah. Stirring and moving and
you don't want the shrimp sitting there while you're looking for the next thing you're supposed to put in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And looking up the recipe going, which one is this again? Just line them up.
I definitely do that. The stage bowls is a great idea.
Yeah.
I do that in a few of my recipes. Like if there's a can of tomatoes that I'm putting in with a bunch of spices, I'll open the can of tomatoes and then just dump the spices on top.
Great idea. Yeah.
Why and then not? Dump it all in. Yeah. Great tip.
Yeah. So that's that. I hope you guys make it. I mean, I think it's worthy.
I will. Yeah.
It's worthy.
I think I'm going to buy shrimp one day and do
this. Oh,
this.
good. And it's easy,
excited.
Right?
Yeah.
Easy. Yeah. Put that shit on everything kind of deal. I think I already said that before.
Love it.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you so much, Sarah.
Yeah.
This was fantastic.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Hope you guys try this at home, and then I'll let the compliments flow.
Yes.
All right. Catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
And now for the fine print. You can find recipe information and photos on Instagram and Facebook at 3 Kitchens Podcast. Why don't you leave us a comment? Give us ideas for future episodes. We'd love to hear from you. And of course, if you'd like and subscribe and follow, all of those things help other people find us.
Egg my food.